All right, the last thing Bob said was...
Bob's been a busy person, hasn't he?
Someone said how you always, bag out other athletes and say stuff, and always be negative, even though we've done videos how you think, Kai's great and, I get
on great with, like I said, whenever I've been to FIB, I've seen Kai get on great, Ruli, Marcus, Dennis Wolf, get on great with all of them. It's just because you have an opinion on someone. So like I said, I might not like Branch's training style, but I respect the guy for his hard work ethic. I've always said that. I respect the guy for the mass he has. I love mass freaks just because I say I don't like his blockiness and stuff like that. I don't think that's bagging out a person, just having an opinion on someone's physique. So I'm sure I have the same about... They don't like aspects of my physique and my body, which, I'm thick-skinned, I don't care about that sort of thing. But, I said I've never said anything bad about the person in general. It's just like I said, if I don't like someone's body, why can't you say that? So
yeah, well, Bob said that these opinions got you in strife one day with Chris Cormier at the Firehouse restaurant, and
that's going back a bit.
Yeah, you had to backpedal quickly because he was going to knock your block off.
No, the actual fact of that would have been back now. Like Chris and I, we've been friends for God knows how long. That came to a misunderstanding. That came back. This would have been mid-90s. There was a comment that I heard saying about Chris, and to me, when I heard it, I'm like, that's not right. So I went to speak to Lonnie Tepper, and everybody knows who Lonnie Tepper is. I said, Lonnie, did you hear this about Chris? People were saying Chris was doing this, that, and I won't say what it was, but at the time, I think Chris would never do that. So I asked Lonnie, and Lonnie's like, no, I didn't hear this. So by the time somehow I got back to Chris, hey Chris, Lee's saying this about you, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And I was at the Firehouse one day with my friends, and Chris was there. He just comes over and slides my food away and goes, hey, what's this shit you've been saying at me? I said, what's that, Chris? He goes, who you been saying this? I said, no, wait a minute. I said, I didn't say that at all. And he was pretty fired up because I can understand. So I said, Chris, this ain't the place. And because there's like mothers and children now, and Chris is, like I said, being pretty loud about it. I said, that wasn't what was said, Law. So I explained to him. And then later on that day, probably would have been 5 hours later, he called me up and apologised, and we sorted it all out. And since then, Chris and I have had no problems at all. We got along just fine. So again, Bob not knowing the whole story or the facts. And like I said, that's going back to probably the 90s, mid to late 90s.
So you're not watching your back?
No. So I've seen Chris a few times here over at the expos that I went down to in Melbourne and stuff, and on Instagram we always message each other back and forth. If he puts something up, I comment on that, and they're always asking how I'm doing, and I'm asking how he's doing. So no, so Bob.
And wasn't he the one did you get your first tattoo with him?
Yeah, in '97. Yeah, Chris and I and Sean Davies went to the Venice tattoo shop. He took us in there to get our tattoos. Yeah, so yep. So again, Bob.
Oh, so you'd buried the hatchet by then.
Oh yeah. How long ago was that now? Let's see. 97, back in the 90s.
Yeah. So that wasn't quite
as spectacular as Bob makes out to be now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry it wasn't, but no.